Hi there lovelies, I'm Rhonda Crimes. I'm a life and leadership coach, supporting everyday people just like you to reflect and rework your everyday stories so you can step into the everyday leadership of your families and communities and create compelling, meaningful and fruitful lives every day. I'm really pleased to be sharing the next guidepost in this vlog edition from Brené Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection. You'll recall that I've been breaking the book up into bite-sized pieces with shorter videos so that you can watch or listen to them on the fly instead of having to find too much extra time. But I can assure you that I believe that you really do need to read the book for yourself. Today let's talk about The Gifts of Imperfection, Cultivating a Resilient Spirit, Part 1. Well now my lovelies, we are up to the third of the 10 guideposts, and I take this time to remind you that you'll notice that they overlay and interconnect as we go through them. They are not standalone threads. They interweave like fabric. Ready to jump in? Great. Guidepost number 3, cultivating a resilient spirit, letting go of numbing and powerlessness. This is such a meaty chapter of the book, so I'm going to break it into 2 parts. And today I'm going to talk more about letting go of our powerlessness. Resilience is the ability to recover or bounce back after difficulties. And we all have some capacity to do this, but what Brené looks into in this guidepost is to understand why some people can cope with stress and trauma in a way that allows them to move forward in their lives, and why other people appear more affected and stuck. Through her research, she found that for people who live wholehearted lives, resilience is a fundamental element. Resilient people have what are called protective factors, the things that we do, have and practice that give us that bounce. 5 of the most common protective factors are: 1, they are resourceful and have good problem-solving skills. Number 2, they are more likely to seek help. 3, they hold the belief that they can do something that will help them to manage their feelings and to cope. 4, they have social support available to them. And 5, they are connected with others, such as family or friends. Alongside this, she found that spirituality was foundational for those protective factors. And let's be clear here, spirituality in this context isn't limited to religion or theology. Rather, Brené defines it as recognizing and celebrating that we are all inextricably connected to each other by a power greater than all of us, and that our connection to that power and to one another is grounded in love and compassion. Practicing spirituality brings a sense of perspective, meaning and purpose to our lives. Now sure, that can mean worshipping in religious houses and studying theology for some. But for others, it can mean being present in nature or activities that take them into a state of flow, or even the interconnectedness of family and friends through their shared love and compassion. This leads to another 3 significant patterns essential to resilience. Number 1, cultivating hope. Number 2, practicing critical awareness. And number 3, letting go of numbing and taking the edge off vulnerability, discomfort and pain. Brené shares that for most of us, herself included, that we always thought hope was an emotion, like a warm feeling of optimism and possibility, but that she was shocked to discover that hope is not an emotion. It's a way of thinking or a cognitive process. So simply put, hope happens when we know where we want to go, we know how to get there, we're determined, we will tolerate setbacks and frustrations, but we will keep on trying, and we believe we can do it. Finally, she shares that hope can be learned. It can be modelled and taught. Most frequently, we learn it from our parents or other influential authority figures, but it can also be learned later in life. To be hopeful is making a conscious choice and then learning through practice. Interestingly, she also points out that hopeful thinking is at odds with the cultural swing towards fun, fast and easy, which in itself can magnify entitlement. So entitlement is, I deserve this just because I want it, rather than knowing I can do this. Brené says the combination of fear of disappointment, entitlement and performance pressure is a recipe for hopelessness and self-doubt. This evokes powerlessness and desperation. We need to believe that we can affect change. We need to step into our own power. So clearly, we need to be hopeful. We also need to practice critical awareness, to regularly check in on our reality and how we want to live our lives in alignment to our vision for wholehearted living. We are hit from morning till night with images and messages trying to sell us something. They all try to play on our not good enough fears about every aspect of our lives. Parenting, dressing, eating, drinking, exercising, driving, and the list goes on and on. As humans, we're biologically wired to trust what we see with our own eyes. But if we want to develop a resilient spirit, we need to do some fact checking of what is constantly manufactured and presented for us to believe. Brené suggests that we can ask these 3 questions. Is what I'm seeing real? Do these images convey real life or fantasy? Do these images reflect healthy, wholehearted living, or do they turn my life, my body, my family and my relationships into objects and commodities? And 3, who benefits by my seeing these images and feeling bad about myself? Now, the hint here is, this is always about money and or control. Practicing spirituality brings clarity of perspective and tunes us into our true meaning and purpose for our lives. It helps us resist the soul-sucking comparisons from the multinational marketing machines that are hell-bent on culturally conditioning us to believe we are not enough. We need to believe we are enough. We need to know when it's real and when we're being groomed. We need to practice critical awareness. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm going to hold the next section of Cultivating a Resilient Spirit about numbing and taking the edge off until next week. I think what I've covered this week is plenty to consider and reflect on for now. So I hope you can join me next week as we finish this guidepost and also cover off the digging deep section. I've been saying since we started looking into this book, when we begin to make changes in ourselves, the people around us can experience discomfort by what they make it mean for them and how they then let you know, sometimes in no uncertain terms. And when that happens, you'll need to talk to somebody about it. And it's really important that you're selective with who you share your story with. So I just wanted to remind you that I created the printable A4 handout with 8 tips to help with the selection of someone safe to share your story with. If you'd like a copy to act as a ready reckoner to help you steer clear of the wrong kind of people, or even more lovely, to help you be the right kind of person for someone else, click on the 8 story sharing tips link in the post. I'd really love you to share your own protective factors that help you with your resilience practice, or maybe even where you could use some help. Next week, we're going to continue guidepost 3, Cultivating a Resilient Spirit, letting go of numbing and powerlessness. The bit about taking the edge off, I think, is particularly pertinent given the times we find ourselves living in 2020. But my lovely, if your now is not the picture that you've painted for yourself and you'd like any help with this discovery path, or maybe something completely different that you intuitively know or feel isn't letting your true colours shine through, then please do get in touch with me. You can do it really easily. You can leave me a comment, send me a private message, drop me an email, or pop over to my Calendly online diary using the link I've provided, and we can set up an obligation-free curiosity call and see if we're a good fit for each other. Much love until next time.